You are scrubbing the black spots behind your shower tiles. You spray the heavy toxic chemicals. You wait, you wipe it away. For a few weeks, the tiles look clean, but then the dark shadows come back. The orange fungus spreads across your bathroom grout again. The green fuzz returns to your window seals the second winter hits. You are trapped in a cycle. You are wasting your hard-earned cash on chemical sprays that do not actually work. Those expensive, branded sprays do not kill mold. They just bleach it invisible. The roots are still there, hiding, growing deeper into your walls. But there is a liquid sitting in your kitchen right now that costs less than $1. It destroys every single species of household mold on contact. It does not just hide the fungus for a few days, it dissolves it permanently. For 3,000 years, this cheap liquid was the only mold killer anyone on Earth ever needed. Then, a massive $40 billion cleaning industry buried it. They hid the truth. They did not bury this liquid because it failed. They buried it because it worked way too well. A simple, permanent fix that costs less than $1 ruins their business model. You cannot pour dirt-cheap kitchen liquids into a fancy plastic bottle and charge people $12 for it. And what cannot be sold for massive profit cannot be allowed to stay in public knowledge. The story of this hidden secret does not start in a modern chemistry lab. It starts 3,000 years ago in ancient Egypt. A massive city was watching its entire food supply rot away. The people were facing total starvation. A heavy, dark fungus had infected the royal grain stores. It grew aggressively. It pushed right through the solid limestone walls of the city's central granary overnight. Thousands of tons of food were ruined. The priests panicked. They tried burning thick cedar smoke through the contaminated rooms. They tried packing the stone walls with heavy sea salt imported from the coast. Absolutely nothing worked. The fungus ate everything it touched. Then, a grainkeeper named Nefertitari tried a wild experiment. No priest had ever thought of this. She went to her home and grabbed fermented liquid vinegar from her clay pots. She mixed that vinegar with powdered mineral salts, scraped from the dry floor of the Nile River. She poured this bubbling mixture over every single inch of the infected granary walls. 3 days later, the priest walked in and stood in shock. The mold was structurally gone. The actual cell walls of the fungus had melted away. It was dead. Think of it like popping a water balloon. The tough outer shell bursts, and there is simply nothing left. The mold cell bursts and vanishes. This exact formula was recorded in the Ebers Papyrus. That is one of the oldest surviving medical texts ever found by archaeologists. The ancient scribes called this mixture a cure for surfaces consumed by the dark breath. The ancient Egyptians did not have fancy scientific words like acetic acid or sodium bicarbonate. But the ingredients they wrote down are plain white vinegar and baking soda. They were using it 3,000 years ago, and it worked the same way it does today. Jump forward to the year 1786. Imagine a freezing, damp German town called Bad Langensalza. A skeptical chemist named Johann Christian Wegelup had spent 10 years studying household chemistry. He hated folklore. He hated rumors. He only trusted cold, hard facts he could test himself. And what he saw happening across the German countryside confused and frustrated him. He found houses where families used cheap vinegar for basic cleaning. Those houses had zero fungal growth on their walls. Even during the freezing, damp winters that drove black mold into every unprotected basement in the region, the vinegar houses were spotless. Just 20 feet away, houses built with the same wood and stone were completely covered in toxic black fuzz. Wegelup wanted proof, so he ran controlled tests across 14 different houses over 2 harsh, freezing winters. The results were clear every single time. Vinegar stopped mold dead in its tracks. He published his findings in a massive chemistry book in 1787. His conclusion was incredibly direct. Acidic environments make it impossible for mold to survive. The mold simply cannot live there. Imagine trying to breathe underwater. You can't. You would drown. That is what vinegar does to mold. It changes the environment so the fungus instantly suffocates. By the middle of the 1800s, hospitals all over Europe used vinegar to wash their walls. It was the standard rule for fighting infection. They did not use it because a corporation ran a flashy ad campaign. They used it because every doctor and nurse could see it working perfectly. Then the year 1907 arrived. The world changed. Everything that was free and centuries old suddenly became a problem for big business. A massive German chemical company called BASF launched the first synthetic bleach product for homes in Europe. They did not sell this bleach as an alternative to vinegar. They sold it as an upgrade. They called it a modern, powerful, scientific replacement. The marketing was aggressive. It brainwashed the public. Within 15 years, cheap synthetic bleach flooded grocery stores across Europe and North America. Within 30 years, the entire global cleaning industry flipped. They restructured their whole business around synthetic chemicals. White vinegar was quietly moved away from the cleaning aisle. It was reclassified as just a food product. Baking soda was pushed to the baking aisle. 2 natural substances that kept human homes entirely free of mold for 3,000 years were completely erased from consumer cleaning culture. This did not happen because vinegar stopped killing mold. It happened because giant corporations needed you to buy their expensive new chemicals. They needed the shelf space. They needed the massive profit margins. Here is the actual science you need to understand. The facts here are impossible to argue with. Mold is not a plant. It is not a bacterium. Mold is a fungus. Fungi only survive if their internal chemistry stays perfectly balanced. They rely on a very tight pH level inside their cell walls. Shift that balance, and the mold dies. Change the pH, and the mold literally melts. The organism does not go to sleep. It does not hide to grow back later. It completely ceases to exist. Acetic acid is the main active ingredient in cheap white distilled vinegar. When you spray it, that acid violently punches through the tough outer wall of the mold spore. Once it gets inside, it drops the cellular pH level so fast and so low that the fungus cannot survive the shock. A massive 2015 study published in the International Journal of Food Microbiology proved this exact process. The science is settled. The cheap stuff works. Researchers put the acid found in vinegar to the ultimate test. They tested it against 11 different types of household mold. This included the dreaded, highly toxic black mold. The results were shocking. Against all 11 types of mold, a 5% acid mix destroyed the cells. It wiped them out in just 48 hours. Standard white distilled vinegar is exactly 5% acid. It is the same clear liquid sitting in your pantry right now, and it costs less than 80 cents for a massive bottle. But wait, vinegar kills the mold. Baking soda makes sure it never returns. This is where the chemistry becomes a permanent shield. When you scrub baking soda onto a surface, it changes the invisible environment. It raises the surface pH level to an 8 or a 9. Mold spores are weak. They need a perfectly balanced pH between 4 and 7 just to wake up. If the surface is an 8, the mold is paralyzed. It cannot grow roots. It cannot spread. It is locked out completely. A massive study at the University of Florida proved this in 2017. Scientists took normal bathroom tiles. They covered the grout in thick, nasty mold spores. Then they applied one simple baking soda treatment. They waited. They watched for 90 full days. Zero mold grew back, not a single spot. 90 days of total protection from a powdery dust that costs 30 cents a box. Now look at the shiny plastic bottles at the hardware store. They cost $12 to $25 each. Commercial mold sprays rely on heavy bleach. The bottle says it kills mold on contact. That is a total lie. Bleach cannot soak into hard surfaces. It cannot penetrate deeper than a tiny fraction of a millimeter. But mold is smart. Mold grows deep. Its roots reach far inside your bathroom grout. The roots push deep into the soft silicone around your sink. Bleach only burns off the top layer. It bleaches the surface fuzz so it turns invisible. You think the mold is gone because you cannot see it, but you only killed the tip of the iceberg. The thick root network is perfectly safe underground. It is exactly like mowing a weed instead of pulling it by the root. The top of the weed is gone, but the weed is still alive in the dirt. The mold rebuilds its entire colony in just 3 weeks. Then the black spots return. So what do? You go back to the store. You buy another bottle of bleach. You spray it again. That fancy spray is not a cleaning product. It is a forced subscription. You are paying a monthly fee to temporarily hide your mold. Let me be totally straight with you. This cheap trick works wonders on surface mold. It cleans your bathroom tiles, your kitchen sinks, your window seals, and your outdoor tents. But if heavy mold is actively rotting the wood deep inside your walls, you need a professional. Do not mess around with structural rot. But for everything you can see and touch in your house, this trick is bulletproof. Your mold keeps coming back, and you desperately want to stop wasting your money on useless chemical sprays. You're probably wondering how the big brands got away with this massive scam. How did they trick the entire world into buying fake bleach cures? The answer involves a massive government cover-up. I'm going to show you the exact paper trail they tried to hide. But first, you have to look at the money. The global cleaning industry makes $40 billion every single year. The mold removal market makes $3 billion a year all by itself. $3 billion. And that entire mountain of cash is built on a problem that a cheap kitchen liquid fixes permanently. Here is the secret they never wanted you to figure out. No company can patent plain white vinegar. Humans have known how to ferment vinegar for 10,000 years. It belongs to everyone. No company can patent baking soda. It has been a generic, cheap powder since 1846. A giant corporation cannot make a special, top-secret formula out of stuff you already have in your cupboard. They cannot force you to buy a new bottle every month. They cannot build a billion-dollar empire off an 80-cent bottle of vinegar that lasts half the year. The entire commercial mold industry relies on one thing. The mold absolutely must come back. If the mold dies forever, their profit dies forever. Bleach only penetrates the tiny surface layer. The roots survive. The mold grows back in a month. You buy more bleach. Millions of people repeat this exhausting cycle every single month. That specific cycle generates $3 billion. Vinegar and baking soda break that cycle instantly. They kill the root. The mold is gone. The cycle stops. The industry loses its money. They could not let that happen, so they bought the rules. In 1994, the EPA released an official guide. They told the public to use bleach for household mold. But who helped write that official guide? The EPA hired a trade group representing the soap and detergent industry. And who funded that trade group? The same massive corporations that manufactured the bleach. They wrote their own recommendation. A brilliant scientist named Dr. Philip Tierno from New York University saw this lie. He submitted a formal, written complaint. He brought receipts. He showed them peer-reviewed science. He proved that the natural acid in vinegar reached deeper into grout than bleach ever could. He proved that vinegar stopped mold from growing back much longer than bleach. The government panel took his papers, they stamped them, they filed them away in a drawer, and they completely ignored him. They did not change a single word of the official guide. That fake science has stayed the same for 30 long years. Those 30 years of fake science created $90 billion in chemical bleach sales. In 2009, another massive scientific paper dropped. It was published in a major microbiology journal. Scientists put bleach right up against cheap vinegar. They tested it on 6 different types of nasty bathroom mold. Vinegar beat bleach in every single test. It destroyed more mold cells. It reached deeper into the grout. It kept the mold away much longer. And it created 0 toxic chemical fumes. The science was perfect and undeniable. The paper was published. The facts were out there. And the massive cleaning industry simply pretended it did not exist. Because when a problem pays you $3 billion a year, you never, ever sell the cure. This is not some wild tinfoil hat conspiracy theory. This is just basic economics. It is a massive business model operating exactly as it was designed to run. Think about your own family history. Your grandfather kept a large jug of plain white vinegar under the kitchen sink. So did his father before him. Almost every single farmhouse in the 1800s kept a giant wooden barrel of vinegar exclusively for cleaning their damp, dark cellar walls. They did not do this because they read fancy medical journals. They did not have degrees in microbiology. They used it because they watched the nasty black mold literally disappear. And they watched it never come back. Today, the world is very different. Just 4 massive global corporations control over 60% of all household cleaning products on Earth. They hold all the power. And the absolute best way to maintain that total control is to make sure you forget the simple tricks your grandparents already knew. If you forget the free cure, you are forced to buy their expensive poison. Now it is time for the practical part. Here is exactly what you need to do to fix your home today. You only need 2 very basic things. First, you need plain white distilled vinegar. It must be exactly 5% acidity. Do not buy expensive apple cider vinegar. Do not buy fancy, scented specialty cleaning vinegar. Just get the massive, cheap plastic jug of plain white vinegar from the bottom shelf of your local grocery store. Second, you need a box of baking soda. That is it. You will also need an empty spray bottle, a hard scrub brush, and 20 minutes of your free time. Step 1. Pour the pure white vinegar directly into your empty spray bottle. Do not add a single drop of water. Do not mix it. Do not dilute it. The 5% acid level is the magic number. It is the exact chemical strength you need. If you water it down, you ruin the weapon. You make the acid too weak to fight. Step 2. Spray the pure vinegar heavily over every single moldy spot. Soak your dirty bathroom grout. Spray the soft silicone rings around your bathtub. Soak your shower tiles and the dark rubber seals around your windows. Get everything soaking wet. Now stop. Do not wipe the vinegar off the wall. Do not scrub it with a sponge yet. Do not rinse the tile. You must set a timer for 1 full hour and walk away. This waiting period is the one step almost everyone gets wrong. People get impatient, but it is the single most critical step of the entire process. The acid needs a full 60 minutes to dig deep into the invisible root system. It needs that time to slowly penetrate the hidden fungal network living deep beneath your tiles. If you rush this step, you fail. If you wipe the vinegar away too fast, you get the same pathetic results as the bleach spray you used last month. You only kill the top layer. After 1 full hour has completely passed, grab your box of baking soda, sprinkle the dry white powder directly onto the wet vinegar still sitting on the wall. You will immediately see a bubbling, fizzing chemical reaction on the tile. That bubbling is not just for show. That intense fizzing acts like a tiny microscopic drill. It physically forces the baking soda powder deeper into the tiny, invisible holes of your porous bathroom grout. Wait a moment and let the bubbling stop. Once it totally settles, grab your stiff brush. Scrub the wall aggressively in tight, hard circles. You want to physically grind that baking soda paste into every single crack, corner, and line. Finally, rinse the whole area thoroughly with warm water. Dry the surface completely with a clean towel. For a normal bathroom, this one single treatment is the only thing you will ever have to do. The mold is entirely dead. It is gone forever. If you are dealing with a terrible, neglected shower that has been rotting for 2 solid years, just repeat this same process 3 days in a row. Now we reach step 3. This is the ultimate prevention layer. This is the specific secret the giant cleaning companies pray you never discover. Take 2 tablespoons of baking soda. Drop them into 1 single cup of warm water. Stir it around until the water looks completely clear. Pour this clear water into a clean spray bottle. Lightly mist this liquid across every single surface you just finished cleaning. Do not wipe it off with a rag. Do not rinse it away with the shower head. Let the mist sit right there and air dry completely. When the water dries, it leaves behind an invisible, microscopic shield. You cannot see it with your eyes, you cannot feel it with your hands, but it alters the chemistry of the wall perfectly. That invisible shield keeps the surface pH level permanently above an 8. Remember the actual science. Mold absolutely cannot survive at a level 8. If a fresh floating mold spore lands on your newly treated tile, it is instantly paralyzed. It cannot wake up. It cannot grow roots. It cannot spread. It is completely locked out of your bathroom. Just spray this invisible, cheap prevention layer once every 3 or 4 months. Your bathroom and your kitchen will stay completely spotless forever. A guy named David from British Columbia tested this exact method on a very expensive camping tent. He had accidentally stored the tent wet for 2 full years. It was completely ruined. The heavy canvas fabric was covered in massive, ugly patches of thick black mold. David did 2 full vinegar treatments. Then he sprayed the invisible baking soda shield over the fabric. The heavy canvas material suddenly looked completely brand new. The black stains vanished. The total cost to save his expensive outdoor tent was $1.20. He used literal pennies worth of vinegar and baking soda. If he went to a sporting goods store, they would gladly sell him a specialty tent mold spray for $42. That expensive branded spray is literally just bleach. It forces you to spray your camping gear every single summer, over and over again, forever. With cheap kitchen liquids, there is no forced subscription. There is no endless cycle of buying new plastic bottles. You do not have to rely on greedy corporations for a problem you can easily solve yourself. This ancient knowledge did not vanish because it stopped working. It worked perfectly on ancient limestone, and it works perfectly on modern bathroom grout. It was just hidden from you. It was quietly moved out of the cleaning aisle it dominated for 3,000 long years. The ancient Egyptian scrolls proving this exact formula are still sitting in a massive library right now. The ancient recipe is still written directly on the papyrus paper. The old German chemistry books from the 17th century are still safe in the archives. The massive university studies from 2015 are still published online for anyone to read. Not a single piece of this solid proof was ever actually destroyed. It was just kept completely out of your sight. We never lost the $1 cure for mold. We just forgot where to look for it. But being hidden in the dark is not the same thing as being gone completely. The absolute truth is still sitting right there in your kitchen cupboard. But fake mold spray is not the only toxic scam sitting inside your house right now. If you look inside your laundry room, there is a brightly colored, squishy plastic pod sitting in a tub. You have been heavily conditioned to believe it cleans your clothes perfectly, but that dissolving plastic skin does not actually disappear like the commercials claim. It melts into a toxic, microscopic glue that is slowly clogging your entire washing machine, trapping foul bacteria inside your favorite shirts and quietly poisoning your skin. I expose the massive laundry pod cover-up and show you the 50-cent natural alternative your clothes actually need in this video right here. Click it right now, and I will see you there.